It's always game day in Cleveland, as that big voice just told you. He's Daryl Ruiter. I'm Andy Baskin. It is roster day. That's probably the best way to put it. But who knows what the roster is going to look like tomorrow when the Browns have a chance to look at all the free agents that are out there across the NFL. But as of right now, as the time that we're speaking, the Browns have a 53-man roster. And Daryl Ruiter, I'm sorry you did not make the team. You okay?
I'm going to miss the paycheck.
It's all right. Aren't you going to thank the coaches and everybody that did stuff and you played for tape so you feel good and you'll be able to play somewhere else now because you played for tape? That's all I did. I knew that I had to go out there and be the best that I can. I thought I was, and I played for tape.
I thought I put some good tape out there, Andy. That's all I can say.
Unfortunately, no one's used tape in at least 15 or 20 years. It's all digital now.
Yeah, it really is. And one of the things that they do with their high-tech 8K camera system that they have out there on the practice fields. It's fun. They raise and lower the discs or the drives, if you will, of various segments of practice in the middle of practice. In fact, during training camp while special teams was working, Jim Schwartz actually did a film session on the practice field.
Wow.
With his secondary. So technology is a wonderful thing.
Here's how good it is. They've got technology for high school now. Daryl, that you can instantly cut your highlight reel the second the game is over, and the computer will pull all your highlights for you.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And put your graphic up for you at the front.
You know what? I remember the NBA this was years ago before the really digital stuff took off. They were at the forefront of that digital transition. And I remember I'd walk into the locker rooms at the arena, and there would be the video guys importing and exporting the game that had just ended like 10 minutes earlier, and handing it out to players for them to review either on their free time or on the plane ride to wherever they were headed next.
It's true. All right, so the tape has been watched, and the Browns have a 53-man roster. Daryl, what do you want to do? You want to go who's on or who's off?
Let's start with the moves. How about that?
Okay,
let's
that
do
sounds
segment
good.
1, the moves. Segment 2, we'll go through the offense, and then our third segment we'll bang out the defense. How does that sound?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. So they ultimately ended up making 21 roster moves today.
Okay.
16 players were waived. I'll just go through them. Cornerback Lorenzo Burns, receiver Jalen Darden, running back Demetric Felton Jr., running back Hassan Hall, receiver Mike Harley Jr., defensive end Sam Kamara, defensive end Jeremiah Martin, safety Tanner McAllister, tight end Zaire Mitchell Payton, quarterback Kellen Mond, no surprise there, defensive end Lonnie Phelps, linebacker Charlie Thomas III, defensive end Isaiah Thomas, defensive tackle Tommy Togiai, receiver Austin Watkins Jr., and kicker Cade York. Those were the players that were waived. We'll see what waivers looks like tomorrow afternoon around noon. If these guys clear waivers, I've got about 7 of them checked off that I think could come back to the practice squad.
And tell me who they are.
Demetric Felton, Zaire Mitchell Payton, Kellen Mond, Tommy Togiai, Austin Watkins Jr., and drum roll, please.
Give it to me.
Cade York.
Okay, let's discuss these two things then. Let's start with Cade York. Do we believe that Cade York will clear waivers?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because quite frankly, he just wasn't good enough in the preseason. So
any NFL team.
Yeah, I think he'll clear waivers. And if the Browns want to bring him back, if Cade York wants to come back onto the practice squad, then yeah, I do see that happening.
Do you think he'll be able to clear his mind to come back to the practice squad? They did trade for a kicker who's notoriously hurt.
Right. And listen, Kevin Stefanski said Tuesday afternoon following practice that specifically, yes, the Browns would be interested in adding Cade York back to the practice squad. So just for the folks that think I'm pulling that one out of thin air, no, even the head coach of the team said, yeah, we would consider that. Obviously, things have to align. He's got to clear waivers and obviously want to come back. to the Browns. But there is a chance that we've not seen the last of one Cade York.
Where was I going to go with this? So the next big thing that people were talking about today was, how did Austin Watkins Jr. not make the team, but they decided to stay with David Bell, who I like. I'm glad David Bell made the team, and I understand why he's on the team. I don't think they used him nearly enough last year, and we really haven't seen a whole lot of him in preseason. So try to explain that one.
Well, quite frankly, it's Marquise Goodwin. That's why Austin Watkins is not on the team. Marquise Goodwin is back.
Right.
He practiced on Tuesday. We spoke to him after practice. Obviously, he is just elated that he is back on the practice field and able to participate. He's hoping that he will be ready for week one. Certainly nobody is committing to that, but that is clearly on his radar to make happen. But Marquise Goodwin returning from the blood clots are exactly why Watkins did not make this team. And Watkins is, I believe, the number one target of the Browns to get through waivers and get back onto their practice squad. And if they're able to do that, Andy, something tells me he might get an opportunity to help this football team later in the year.
Daryl, do you have any idea what they might be looking for among the waiver wire players that might be out there? So we look at this 53-man roster. We'll do that in a second.
Right.
But can you see an area? I'm not saying tell me who the player is, although essentially by telling me the area, you'd be doing that. But I'm just saying, is there an area you think the Browns might attack with all of these players that are now looking for jobs?
Well, they don't have a lot of needs, though. Let's keep that in mind, right?
Totally agree.
And we are talking, I think we're talking, Andy, the last four roster positions on the team, right?
Okay.
We're talking positions 50, 51, 52, 53.
Right. Unlike, in the past, it's been 10 roster spots. I don't think that that's where we are now.
And I got to be honest with you, quarterback is one. Do they bring back Kellen Mond just to the practice squad? Now, Kevin Stefanski also said after Tuesday's practice, Andy, they do want to bring another quarterback back. So does that mean that's Kellen Mond, or do they want to bring somebody outside the organization in? Odds are that quarterback is going to go to the practice squad, but you have to leave open that slim possibility that it could be an active roster addition. The problem is, if it is an active roster addition, you have to cut something somewhere to make room.
Let me say this, an exclusive right here on It's Always Game Day in Cleveland. Daryl Ruiter is contemplating Colt McCoy coming back to the Browns, baby. Colt McCoy.
By the way, here's what I have to say about all these knuckleheads that are acting like the Cardinals cutting Colt is a sure sign that they're tanking. No, you know what's a sure sign they're tanking? They traded for Josh Dobbs to be their basically be their starter, number one. And number two, every other roster move they've made this offseason. Why is all of a sudden Colt McCoy the end-all be-all? Oh, the Cardinals are tanking because they cut Colt. With all due respect to Colt, right? He's a career backup quarterback. He's not a starter. So it's similar to the outrage with Austin Watkins getting cut by the Browns on Tuesday, Andy, right? I mean, listen, these are the same folks that thought some oddball receiver from the Seattle Seahawks was coming in to save the season for the Cleveland Browns as a waiver claim the day after the initial 53 is set. So a little perspective here, folks. But no, I am not saying that Colt is coming home. Growing Up Colt Part 2 Cleveland edition is not happening. They are absolutely committed to DTR as the backup quarterback, but they do want to have another third arm available on the practice field. And again, I suspect that it's going to come via the practice squad more than the active roster.
Daryl, I think the best troll of the last year was Phil Dawson and his high school kicking field goals at the high school, the 50 to 55 yarders over the last couple days. Because first of all, he looked like he could still do it. And second of all, I didn't have a major problem with it. If they wanted to, I know he's 48 years old, but he knows that stadium as well as anybody. I'm sure he doesn't have, let's face it. I mean, we're not talking about Dustin Hopkins doesn't exactly have, 60, 65 yard plus leg to make field goals. But what if I'm just saying, don't go over the top. If they thought they could hang on to Cade York
Yeah,
and they thought they could keep Cade York and get him through to the practice squad. Is Phil Dawson really going to kill you for a couple games?
I had to grab my notebook because I
Okay.
have the percentages, or at least I thought I had the percentages written down for Hopkins. And basically, he gets worse the further away from the uprights you go.
He's 85% where you need him to be. That's what it is.
No.
That's what I mean. Looking at the number, like 30,
he's
38 plus or something, 38 to 45 somewhere.
50 plus. And I kind of need my place kicker to be a weapon. I need a guy that can knock it home for if a drive stalls between the 30 and 35 yard line. I need a guy to make that field goal and get me 3 points.
Then you're with me on this. Bring Phil Dawson back.
Well, like I said, I don't know that Hopkins is the guy to make that happen. That's my chief concern. I don't disagree with them swapping out Cade York. I just am not sold that Dustin Hopkins, who has an injury history, I'm not sold that, especially in that stadium, he's going to be able to deliver 3 points when the Browns are in case they stall out in that 30 to 35 yard range, which puts you between 48 and 50 plus.
My question then for you is: would you have been okay if they would have brought Phil Dawson back? Come on, do it, baby, do it.
Yeah, why not?
Boom! I love it. Love every minute of it. Yes, Daryl Ruiter said it. He would have been okay if they would have brought Phil Dawson back. I just love the storyline. We're back in just a moment with more. It's always game day in Cleveland. We are going to go through the roster. We'll talk defense or offense. Daryl, flip a coin.
We're going offense first.
We're going offense next, right here. It's always game day in Cleveland.